Hey, it's Debbie Potts, and in today's episode, I am going to talk about how you can improve the aging process so you can stop blaming it and start doing something about it, taking ownership for our health, and learning how you can fuel and train properly to improve your future self. So let's dive into today's episode.
Welcome to the Low Carb Athlete Podcast, where we focus on discussing topics to help you burn fat, optimize health, and improve performance in life and sports. Transform the whole you from the inside out with the holistic method. Let's dive in. Here's your host, Debbie Potts.
Hey guys, it's Debbie, and have you used a CGM before? CGM is continuous glucose monitor, and there's different options out there. Ideally, you can get it from your doctor, but they seem to just want to wait until you're type 2 diabetic and not be preventative. I would like us to take ownership of our health and make choices now to prevent having high, low glucose readings and optimize your health from the inside out by testing and not guessing. And that includes a CGM that goes on for 14 days, and you can order one via NutriSense. And CGM is giving you glucose updates with a small device in the back of your arm 24/7. Totally easy. I actually did a video on my YouTube channel, Low Carb Athlete, how to apply this CGM. First time, kind of scared, but it doesn't hurt. But it gives you real-time glucose readings. Glucose response to meals. You'll learn about what foods are reactive to you, and that could be a healthy food that you think is great, but it could raise your glucose. Simple things as stevia, for me, raise my glucose. Chewing gum, raise my glucose. Stress, when I'm driving a car and there's traffic, raises my glucose. Every stress response is a glucose response. So learn how to manage your stress. Learn how to pick right foods for you, unless you can, do other lab testing and figure out vibrant wellness food zoomers, but it's kind of expensive for people. So if you can wear a CGM, it's a great way to learn about stress, food, exercise, stacking movement with your nutrition. Figure out how to balance your blood sugar. So we want to learn more about how to exercise and eat or not eat. And morning cortisol, does it raise your glucose? If there's hidden stressors at nighttime, does your glucose go up higher while you're sleeping? So it gives us lots of clues that we can put in our investigation when we are working on your personalized fueling, training, and performance program to improve fat loss, performance, and longevity. So head to NutriSense website, nutrisense.io, how it works. You can learn more about your habits, your routines, your relationship to food, a little bit more. Great app to use, and it can sync on to different programs, so you can put it all together. So if you want to get started with your journey in NutriSense, I suggest this to all my clients. Use at least 30 days. So you can do a 30-day, 90-day, different programs, but you can pick which one you want. You get the sensor in the mail, put it on, lasts for 14 days, sync it to the app, and get your readings on there. And then if you're doing my VIP coaching program, I'm working with you to correlate this data together. So begin your health optimization journey with NutriSense, and you can save on your order with our code, as usual, Low Carb Athlete. So no carbs is not our goal, it's carb timing, and using NutriSense, you can help figure out your nutrient-dense whole food plan and when to adjust your macros based on your exercise intensity, duration, based on your life stressors, and learn more. So it's nice to have this data. So test and not guess with NutriSense. Let me know how you like it. Are you struggling with feeling fluffy, puffy, soft, and squishy? Are you struggling to gain muscle mass, lean body mass, even though you are doing your strength training program regularly? Are you lacking power when you bike, and speed and strength on the hills when you're running? if you are struggling, let's figure out what you can do about it instead of blaming the aging process. As I say every episode, insanity is doing the same thing over and over again, expecting different results. So if you are struggling with this unexplained weight gain, loss of lean body mass, lack of power and speed, constant joint pain, tightness, inflammation, well, let's stop, pause, and reset and figure out what you are doing maybe wrong for your body right now. Maybe this program you're doing worked for you 5, 10, 20 years ago, but things are different. Our hormones are different. Our body's more worn out. We need to push the reset button and start a new program. So let's dive into ways you can make some adjustments and course correct. All right. As you may know, I took July and August off this year and last summer to focus on just enjoying the summer, but also continuing education. And I'm always doing some new course to help me be a better coach and to be a better individual in my own journey, in my own aging process, because I like to have the goal of thriving and not struggling as I get older, especially after I lost my dad last year, and really have a lack of faith in the doctors, the hospitals, and I rather start doing even more than I already do to improve that aging process and fuel and train, as I say all the time, my future self. So I am going to be feeling amazing and looking amazing as I age as much as I can. So I want to be traveling the world when I'm 80, 90 years old and not be in a wheelchair in some retirement home, hanging out, playing cards. So here is what I want to dive into in this episode. I put lots of information in blogs. My blogs are not really me writing articles. It's me putting together my research and putting it into notes so I can go back and find them when I need them. So what are you doing now to improve the aging process? So you can stop blaming your age for feeling fat, puffy, and sluggish. Now, as I enter my 50s, I'm on a mission to improve the second half of my life and make it the best half of my life. I'm also on a mission to avoid the stereotypical menopausal symptoms as we age and take ownership of my health now instead of waiting to be sick. And as I just was saying in my opener, that seeing my dad last year struggle and having a doctor that was 3 doctors working on him who were really not communicating. And one was a kidney doctor who only focused on all answers to improve your kidney function had to do with kidney dialysis. And the cancer doctor for his type of lymphoma he had was really unique. They put him on chemo drug, and only way they knew how to get him better was to keep him on some type of really expensive prescription chemo drug therapy. And then there's heart doctor, because 10 years before my dad had a heart attack, and the only way they knew how to treat that was all these different medications. Nothing about lifestyle, nothing about nutrition, nothing about exercise. And I struggled he was in the hospital for 2 weeks. He went into the hospital after hurting his back because of lack of strength work. He was moving a heavy fire pit in our backyard in Palm Desert and hurt his back, and no one could help him because he couldn't move. He was laying on the floor trying to sleep in a recliner chair for 2 weeks. Couldn't get him any help. Then he started having kidney problems, not being able to urinate, and went to the hospital. And then 2 weeks later, he was gone. And I'm sure a lot of you have similar stories to what you've experienced with your own family members, grandparents, relatives, mom and dad. It's hard, and you just struggle for a long time going, okay, I tried everything I could. As a health and fitness coach, I've been in fitness, my personal training and health coaching since college. And my dad, typical family, can't tell them what to do, and they just get angry or fight with you. So I did what I could do, but I had to depend on the doctors to get the answers. And won't go into it all, but you just see how we need to take our health in our own hands. Even if you are an endurance athlete doing races this year, competing well, you might be fit and healthy on the outside, but I see a lot of fit athletes, but they're still, but fat. They're not that that's bad, but it is looking at what is going on under the hood if you are having struggles with losing fat weight because of various reasons of chronic inflammation, dysbiosis, candida. There's all sorts of stuff. So it's not that you have to be lean and mean athlete. You need to be healthy from the inside out. So I would love for you to get your comprehensive blood chemistry panel from your doctor twice a year, or we start looking at other solution as, what's the program? Inside Tracker. And you can get great programs through there, or, you can use my Alta Labs link and get your blood chemistry panel done, ideally quarterly, not once a year. That's not enough, because by the time you already go get your lab test done with your doctor, as I just went yesterday and got them to test as much as I could under insurance. Well, if my insulin A1C CRP is already high, but it wasn't last year, I could have seen there was something off balance 6 months ago if I had my labs done twice a year. So I digress, but the focus is how you can improve the aging process. And today is talking about your strength program. Because if you struggle with unexplained, the weight gain, you're losing muscle, lean body mass is changing, your body composition is changing, but you are feeling like you're trying to do all these right things, but still not working. Something's off balance. There's something backfiring in your programming. And I know I have been struggling with power and speed. And ever since my adrenal exhaustion, air quotes, because I don't know exactly, it was multiple areas of dysfunction in my body, I went from a pretty good runner, more cycling's my thing, in Ironman and triathlons of all distance, but I have never been able to run as strong since my health issues 10 years ago. 2013 was kind of the beginning of the new me. And I found that using Stacy Sims' program, I created my own 30-day program I did in August to test it out myself. And I really feel the changes and that minimal effective dose of exercise as compared to our excessive chronic cardio as endurance athletes that we typically do, because that's how, I started Ironmans in 2001. I started doing marathons and long distance cycling and short distance triathlons back in 1995. And so I've done the long distance stuff for 25 years, that my body, with my hormones changing as I enter the transition phase of life for females, I don't have the power and the speed. I do speed work, and I'm not even at my marathon pace I used to be at when I'm anaerobic doing sprints. So I have to not look at my Garmin splits. I have to just go by more perceived exertion level. And depending on the length of interval I'm doing on speed work, I use my heart rate monitor and not worry about the speed. So the other thing is I've been talking a lot about is how many of us endurance athletes don't spend enough time in the gym. And as you get older, 45, 40 and older, you see what happens as you get older in general, not just the athlete performance side of it, but the age. You see older people have trouble walking, lifting their leg up and over curbs. They lose their balance. They can't get up out of a chair. They can't get up off the floor without assistance. And so you really see the importance of strength. And as Dr. Gabrielle Lyon talks about that the muscle is an organ of longevity, and our focus should be more on not just cardio training, but the strength training and prioritizing protein and timing that protein that we were talking about as well around that workout, post-workout, and spread out 3-4 hours around throughout the day. So you're building muscle. Anabolic is building, catabolic is breaking down. And we endurance athletes tend to do so much endurance exercise. We're always, and a lot of stress on top of that, different stressors, that we're in a catabolic breakdown phase. And then on top of that, as we age, especially as females, our estrogen, progesterone levels are leveling out, bottoming out. And we need to make up for that loss of estrogen, what it did for us for the protein, muscle contractions, and other things we'll talk about that Dr. Stacy Sims teaches us. And then prioritizing protein for men and women. And eating, as Dr. Gabrielle Lyon talks about, I've said 100 times as well, is that we need to focus on protein, not so much fasting. Fasting should be normal, 12 hours, dinner to breakfast. If you want to do extended fasting, we'll get into that. I put together a blog to talk about cell autophagy, how you can get that from your exercise in itself. So do we need to do extended fasting as athletes? That's a whole nother topic we can go on another Thursday talk about. But lifting weights and getting your protein in throughout the day, if you're fasting too much is my point. OMAD, you're not going to hit that, say, 1 gram of protein per pound of ideal body weight. So if you want to weigh 125 pounds, that is your goal. And then realistically, 125 pounds, that is your goal of protein spread throughout the day. 20 to 50 grams is your high end spread out. So we want to lift heavy weights and eat our protein. So you can't just focus on eating more protein. You still need to put the work in. And sorry, there's no pill, or maybe there's some biohack machine that you can get and spend thousands of dollars on that will mimic the work that you put in the gym or in your garage workout, yard workout. You still need to improve the strength gains if it's 10, 20-minute workout. So we want to improve the neuromuscular training, focus on strengthening the muscles by lifting heavy weights. So Stacy Sims teaches us, I think this is men and women, but she focuses on the female athletes, different than the male athlete. And if we're perimenopausal, premenopausal, or menopausal, postmenopause, which again, I've said in another episode, but menopause, ladies, is 1 day. You're pre or perimenopause. 1 day, someone wrote that, officially, whoever created this rule, 12 months without a cycle, you're now in menopause. And guess what happens the next day? Now you're postmenopause. It's the silliest thing. So I was talking to my doctor about this. She was even laughing that menopause is 1 day, and it's like the lab ranges. You're 80 to 90 is good, but if you're at 91, then you're unhealthy. So, anyways, the lifting weights, activation, and mobility drills is what you want to start with. And if you haven't lifted weights, don't jump into this heavy weightlifting. Do 2-3 months of foundational training. And then we want to work on 3 to 5 sets, 3 to 5 exercises of 3 to 5 reps, right? So 3 to 5 reps, 5 times through, or maybe you start with 3, and maybe you just keep it simple and pick 3 or 5 exercises. So a squat, a hinge is a deadlift, a push is a chest press or push-ups or free weights, bench press, and then a pull as back pulling. So you're doing maybe a sled or a lat pull down or a row or free weight row, something as that. Pull-ups are great for people that can. And then deadlifts, I said, are the hinge, and then core exercises, V-sits or planks and side planks and bridging and all those. So, take a sip of my coffee. I want to talk about how you make that transition. So I want to improve my second half of my life, right? So I want to make the second half of life should be our best half of life, because then you have hopefully the financial gains that you can start to play more. Then when we're younger, you can travel more, and then you hit retirement. You're able to just explore and live life to the fullest every day. And so we want to get stronger. and gain that power and speed so we don't lose it. Because as we age, we start to lose some of those functions, as I said, and we need to figure out how to make up for that loss of hormone function for the females more so than men. So we adapt and get stronger from lifting weights from these specific workouts. So we want to lift heavy weights to increase the cross-sectional muscle areas, the area of the muscle. We want to gain power and speed. So we need to signal the muscles to maintain and build lean mass by changing how we train. And then we need the neuromuscular improvements. We need to increase the neuromuscular contraction. That gets into acetylcholine. The neuromuscular contraction. So neuro is nervous system, muscular, muscle. And we're creating a strong myosin. So myosin actin is exercise physiology class, how your muscles contract. And so we want to have a strong muscular contraction. And without estrogen, as we get older ladies, we lose that function. So we need to work on lifting heavier weights and doing more this neuromuscular strength training type of modality to increase that neuromuscular contraction. With that way, we can get the stronger myosin contraction. Because if we're working out, we're still not getting stronger, that's probably part of it. And then we want to increase metabolism. It's not just low thyroid, but that's a whole nother topic too. Why is your thyroid low? Does it have to do with your adrenal function if you have higher low cortisol levels? And what hidden internal sources of chronic stress are causing the adrenals to be off, which are causing the thyroid to be on hold and reverse T3s up. And then we've got the whole downward spiral effects of the stress on everything else is on hold. But the thyroid converts T4, inactive thyroid, converts to active thyroid T3 in the liver and also in the gut. So slower metabolism isn't just taking thyroid medication. It's looking at why is your thyroid slow? Why is your metabolism slow? But what can you do about it? How can you increase your metabolism without just thinking you need a armor thyroid medication? It's increase your lean body mass, higher lean body mass. And I'll do this in my PNOE metabolic testing. When clients have on their PNOE, we test their metabolism at rest and during exercise. And if they're really slower, lower calories that they're burning, and we also look at the carbs to fat use, we're looking at lean body tissue and the fat tissue when I do caliper testing. But putting it all together, it's increasing your lean body mass by lifting heavy weights and timing that protein post-workout. Women, 30 minutes. Men can wait up to 3 hours and still get that benefit in that anabolic state to help muscle protein synthesis. Okay, so we want to improve our strength, our stability, our mobility as we age. I said, is how we watch our family members age and older family friends. You can see all this changing, and it's just so annoying because I just think, okay, all you needed to do is work on that in the gym, work on stepping up and over a curb, work on hip flexion, work on glute and core strength and connecting your body together. It's just, don't blame the aging process that you can't walk and you can't climb stairs. It's do something about it. Drives me nuts, obviously. So you want to change how you train so we improve the aging process. So as we're training for endurance events, I think this is pretty fascinating for us female athletes that Dr. Stacy Sims talks about, but I think everyone can relate to a little bit, is that women, we are better just at birth being females versus males at endurance work. And so we don't need to do as much of that long, slow distance as we are getting older. We already know how to do that. But what I have been saying is for myself, I know I'm slower. I don't have that power. I'm not a fast twitch muscle fiber. I'm a Forrest Gump. I can go for hours and hours, super slow, low and slow. But if I have a goal of increasing my lean tissue, changing my body composition, lowering my fat weight, getting stronger, getting faster, I don't need to do the long, slow stuff as much. So today, example, my workout was 1 hour on the bike, warm up, rolling hills where we live. It was my easy elephant forest out and back, and doing on the slight incline, flat to incline, uphill, hard, and then downhill or when it levels, I do recovery. So I was doing what we're talking about next, HIIT training. So we want to do more HIIT training, and I want to go into this a little more, but as we age, we need to do more high intensity interval training. And Stacy Sims talks about this in our Menopause 2.0 course, that how we have this adipose lipid, the fat turnover, how we use and store fat changes in our body weight changes, because it's how we're using and storing the fat is what changes. So she talks about lipid turnover, and that is what that means is how we use fat and storing fat, not about how we burn fat. So to change your body composition, it's working with that changes in lipid turnover, changes in the lipid uptake in our fat tissue. And to change our body fat and our body composition, we need to change the rate of fat uptake into the tissue. So the fat use of the body is what we need to work. It's increased amount due to dysregulation in the cell. So we're not good at burning fat through our exercise, but we have a dysregulation she talks about, and I'm not explaining it, of course, as well as she would. So you can find Stacy Sims' podcast interviews, but she talks about we have a dysregulation within the muscle cell. We have more oxidative stress, insulin resistance, glucose uptake, signal to increase fat uptake. So we have a whole dysregulation with our female hormones as we get older. And that's why we need to do more HIIT training so we can counteract some of those changes. And we want to add in the fuel to help with the process. So Stacy Sims talks about signaling to increase the fat uptake, the amount of fat storage to allow for the increased need of fat, the lipid fat. So she'll talk a lot that we need, females versus men can do a fast workout, but we need a little bit of calories to activate that. So what are the benefits of HIIT training? And we'll get into strength training, but an increase in blood glucose control via the improvement in insulin sensitivity with 1 or more minutes of hard work. Remember that zone 4, zone 5, and then come down to zone 1 requires more glucose to come into the cell to work hard. It pulls the glucose in and increases our insulin sensitivity at rest. Because females, when we get older, and I think people in general, there's a lot of insulin insensitivity. So exercise is a great solution. Of course, people don't want to do it because it takes work. It's not a pill. 1 or more minute of hard work to fuel the work, decrease in the fasted blood glucose level. So you're pulling in that glucose from the blood. Now, cardiovascular benefits over 1 minute. We get the vascular endothelial growth factor. Stacy Sims talks about increases our aerobic activity capacity. We have an increase in nitric oxide and improves our blood vessel function and cardiovascular health. We have an increase in growth hormone, stimulating growth factor. We have an increase in free testosterone, decrease in estrogen, counters cortisol. So now that we don't have the estrogen, we don't need estrogen doing this type of HIIT training to help counter cortisol because we're just doing this short burst of stressor, not a chronic stress. And we have more cellular adaptation benefits that stimulate the mitochondria to grow and improve. So I just did a podcast with dietitian doctor that works with MitoPure, but just how mitochondria to improve it. But you can improve your mitochondria through exercise, right? So zone 2 exercises, zone 5, I talked about in previous episode, can improve mitochondria health. So the mitochondria, the 1 minute or more, does include aerobic metabolism, but improves mitochondrial biogenesis, so making new mitochondria. When we work at higher intensity, we do have a cellular stress. We're damaging the cells, and we create that inflammatory response. So this is a stress, our exercise stress. But our response is stronger, and we improve the integrity of our skeletal muscle. Our oxidative stress is decreased, and we have antioxidation occurs. So we have this whole benefit of doing the HIIT training versus doing a lot of the long, slow distance or the zone 3, the gray zone that she talks about. Too hard to be easy, too easy to be hard. And then we have just overall improved anti-inflammatory cytokine release from HIIT training. So we reduce inflammation with HIIT around the entire body. We also have improvement from HIIT training in BDNF after exercise. So that's your brain-derived neurofactor. It improves brain health. So I definitely always need that. And external stressors to create the environment to boost the brain health, the BDNF, helps improve cognition and memory benefits. So doing that HIIT training is another source of external stressor that's acute hormesis, and part of that is the BDNF. We also have the better metabolic control without the hormones of estrogen available. And since we're losing estrogen, we don't have that signaling to fire everything. So we lose that blood vessel function. Stacy Sims explains, and this is improved with HIIT training, as HIIT is a strong stimulus to increase cardiovascular health and the blood vessel health. So in my blog post, Training the Female Athlete, you can find on debbiepotts.net, I went down a rabbit hole of what are anti-inflammatory cytokines. They're signaling molecules that play a crucial role in regulating the immune response and maintaining immune system balance. They help to counteract pro-inflammatory signals during immune response, preventing excessive inflammation and tissue damage. And so I went into that, and then talking about sit training is what we want to do is at top of zone 5, all out, RPE 10 out of 10, 10 to 30 seconds sprints, no more than 30 seconds, and then a long recovery in between. And why do we need to do this? We want to do this to increase our sensitivity to insulin. And as we have less estrogen for the females, we have less insulin sensitivity. So this helps us doing the short intensity interval training. This increases skeletal muscle insulin stimulated glucose uptake is what it's more about, the GLUT4 activation to convert glucose into glycogen. To also the sit training increases lean mass and decreases fat mass. Strong increase of stress increases carb uptake, and the more body fat we are able to access. So we have lipid removal. So we are using that fat for fuel and increasing lean mass, decreasing our fat mass without the need of estrogen and progesterone to help. We also have with sit training increased ability for using the glucose, the carbohydrates uptake into the muscle for fuel. And we have enhanced protein synthesis, the need of muscle to survive as its organ of longevity. So through the sit training, we need to add that in a couple days a week, post or middle of your workout. And then we have the importance of plyometric training, as we need to work on these changes as we age to increase our explosive power and speed. So jump training, power training is plyometrics. And so we have changes in our gene transcription. And I went into what that is on this blog page. But as we lose estrogen receptors, we lose the ability to have that strong muscle contraction, as I said earlier, and myosin and the acetylcholine, the neuromuscular connection. So the solution to change how you train, so include jump training or plyometrics, even if it's on a trampoline. I have my rebounder right here. If you have a BOSU, or maybe you're doing lateral speed skaters, things that are safe for your body. I know I'm not very good at box jumps higher than 12 inches. So you have to really find what works best for you. And improving muscle power, body composition, mitochondria function, the decrease in estrogen, decrease in mitochondria. Train differently is what we need to do to improve that mitochondria biogenesis. So look at what happens as we age and then find solutions for it, right? Instead of blaming it, the aging process. So external stressors need to replace what estrogen used to do for us, improving the glucose uptake. Instead, now we can use GLUT4 protein transporters instead of insulin to get glucose into the cells for energy. So we also improve bone mineral density with plyometrics by creating a multi-directional force with jump training. So running, Stacy Sims talks about running and body weight exercise are not enough to improve bone mineral density. So you still need to include like jumpy lunges, squat jumps, jump roping, adding, these into your circuit training type of workout. Say it's 45-second intervals with 15-second recovery, 5 minutes, and then 3 rounds. advanced or squat jumps, lateral skaters, tuck jumps, which I'm horrible at, depth jumps, single leg hops, ground reactive forces that stimulate bone mineral density and bone mineral turnover. So that helps the speed of movement with power. And this is looking at how fast can you get off the ground. Vertical movement up, explosive, and short amount of time on the ground. That is what we want with our plyometric jump training. So if you can't jump, you can do stuff in the pool. You can do med ball throws, ball slams. I like doing plyo push-ups. You can do on a BOSU or the floor, battling ropes, anything that's fast muscle contractions to build power. So more reps is not the goal to modify the right options for you to build power. So we want small volume, more resistance, quick muscle activation with fast twitch muscle fibers being used. And you want to include longer rests between sets to allow proper recovery so you can go hard again with good form. So you can check that out. And then strength training over body weight or cardio training. So you want to pick the heavy weight lifting if you've been working out for a while and not worry about the 10, 12 rep of training. You want to increase the max force a muscle can produce over a single effort of time. So you don't want to do the hypertrophy training with more reps, which is increasing the muscle fiber diameter. We want to look at force versus bulk. So you're looking at what happens as we age with that lower, for women, the estradiol levels, improving strength, and men and women testosterone. So what are the benefits to changing your focus of resistance training over chronic cardio to change your body composition? So we need to send a signal to the body to work on maintaining that muscle mass, that lean body mass. Focus on strength because it's the biggest thing we lose as we age with the loss of estradiol for the women. And the hypertrophy type of lifting, higher reps, doesn't work for what we need. So Dr. Sims talks about why we need heavy weight training: increase power production, increase strength production, metabolic rate, metabolic efficiency, joint strength, joint stability, bone mineral density, and immune system. So the resistance strength training as we age is really important as our hormones change. And I think for us athletes that are just doing so much cardio training, swimming, biking, running, we would really benefit in our endurance sports by adding in strength training. Will help improve your performance and give you that more speed and power that you may be having more of that sluggish feeling. You might be feeling soft and squishy, but solutions, I would add the strength training, plyometrics, and HIIT training into your routine and swap out your chronic cardio zone 2 workouts if you've been training as long as I have, and start doing some short intensity workouts in your warm-up, cool down, and an hour workout. So if you are struggling with unexplained weight gain, check out some ways you can do your training and fueling differently. So we'll keep talking about this, but if you want more information, you can head to my blog page, debbiepotts.net. If you have more questions, check out all the information I put into the blogs and my rabbit holes on research and ChatGPT, looking at, hey, what happens when we age? What happens with lower estrogen? Why does lower estrogen make such a difference in our metabolic changes, in our shift in fat distribution, or in our appetite regulation? And why do we lose lean body mass as we age? Physical activity changes with our hormone changes. Why do we have cravings and emotional eating? Insulin resistance, sleep disruption. So why do we have lower estrogen levels? Why do they lead to reduced insulin sensitivity that contributes to weight gain and higher risk of developing metabolic conditions as type 2 diabetes? Well, instead, you need to change how you train. So strength training with heavy weights and adding that high intensity interval training, adding in some plyometrics will help you lower inflammation, help you preserve that muscle and improve that metabolism, get rid of feeling puffy and soft, and really work on your whole program to improve hormone balance, including testosterone, and looking at what is growth hormone, what is testosterone. I put that all into this blog, and then here are solutions. How should you fuel and train if you have increased weight gain? What is the solution? What if you have struggle with inflammation? What if you have hot flashes? What if you feel sluggish, lack of power, and decrease energy, decrease speed? Let's not say, oh, that's the new me, that's how it is, but take responsibility and let's switch it up. So I do offer my assessment program just to go over everything you're doing. Let's collect lots of clues, and then let's do 2 45-minute coaching calls to review my results of my assessment and recommendations. So let's talk more, and hopefully this is helping you figuring out how to improve the aging process instead of blame it and use it as an excuse to your weight gain and feeling soft and puffy, mushy and slow, sluggish on your bike or run, and poor recovery and poor sleep and blah, blah, blah. You need to stop complaining and start taking action and doing something about it. So head to debbiepotts.net. Remember, I put lots of videos, and I was trying to do more exercise little demos, Debbie demos, on my YouTube channel, The Low Carb Athlete Coach. So let me know your thoughts and feedback. And if you want a discovery call, let me know. lowcarbathlete@icloud.com. Talk soon. Hey, my fellow aging endurance athletes, just a reminder, if you like what you listened to today, make sure to share this episode with your community. Head to debbiepotts.net to set up a free discovery call to learn more about my personalized coaching programs, especially if you are on a mission as myself to improve the aging process and start training to be my best self when I am 80, 90 years old. So I am on a mission to live my best life and be my best self the second half of my life. So if you're on the same mission as me, head over to my website and YouTube channel to learn more ways to improve the whole you from the inside out with the holistic method.
Thanks for listening to the Low Carb Athlete Podcast. If you have any questions, feedback, or topic suggestions, let us know on Facebook or at debbiepotts.net. You can help us continue and grow by leaving a review on iTunes. Thanks again, and see you next time.